Hello, everyone. Sorry for that. My name is Cindy Curtis, and I am the liaison from Food Export Midwest and based in the Chicago office. For those of you unfamiliar with Food Export Midwest and Northeast, we're a nonprofit organization made up of agricultural promotion agencies to help promote food and agricultural products. We help U.S. companies enter international markets by offering export education, global connections, expert strategies, and market assistance. Thank you for joining the preview call for the Focus Trade Mission to Singapore, which is September 30th and October 1st. The preview session is dedicated to focusing on the trade mission to Singapore to discuss the market, product of interest, general itinerary of the mission. We will also discuss the cost to participate as well as registration. The call is about 30 minutes and will be recorded and posted to our webpage. Everyone is automatically muted. We encourage you to ask questions through the Q&A box to be discussed following the presentation. Questions that are not answered will be answered in email. Later, you'll see a slide of the liaison team to contact with questions for help. Food Export has a network of in-country representatives around the world to access via virtual consultations and/or market builder, which can help with product analysis and also rep finders. To date, we are joined on the call with Thomas Wee from Lu Marketing, our in-market rep from Singapore. Our activity coordinator for this event is Amy Burdett from Food Export. At this time, I'd like to turn the presentation over to Thomas.
Thank you so much, Cindy. Hi, everyone. I'm Thomas Wee. I'm from Singapore. We are the in-market representative for Food Export for 4 markets in Southeast Asia: Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, and the Philippines. So today we'll talk about Singapore. Just want to give you an introduction of the market here, some statistics, and also some understanding of the market so that you can make an informed choice about coming over here to take part in this mission. So you can, that's a very nice picture of the Marina Bay Sands. It's actually a very pretty tourist destination, casino, also owned by the US as well, the US entrepreneur. So you can come here for a little piece of home if you like. So if you can, let's go to the next slide. So Singapore is actually part of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or what we call ASEAN. It represents 10 nations covering the Southeast Asia itself. So the reason why I wanted to show you this picture is that the Singapore, where we are, the arrow where it points in, right, is really the smack in the center of the entire ASEAN region. So it's really a small place, a small city, but it's also quite different and extraordinary in terms of the role it plays in the entire region here. So it's a very stable, politically very stable country. In fact, we just have an announcement that we'll change our prime minister, the leader of the government, right? The current leader has been the leader for 20 years. He is the son of the previous prime minister, Lee Kuan Yew. So after 20 years, right, he's going to hand over to another younger minister to take over, and we think he's going to run it for another 20 years. So as in terms of policies, we are very stable. So that's one of the key strengths of it. So let's go to the next slide. So just a quick market overview itself. So Singapore is one of the most open economies. It hardly grows anything. So almost 90% of products are imported. So as such, right, and it's all services based. We don't grow. There's some industry. We do mostly high-tech industry. So it's also a financial center for the Southern Asia itself. It has the second highest per capita income in Asia, right after Japan. So it's about $82,000 per person per year. In terms of agricultural imports, right? For 2023, we imported almost $19 billion of products. About 10% come from the US. In terms of consumer-oriented products, things like food, snacks, food products, right? About 11.3 billion. and 6% of that, right, almost about $700 million from the US. So in terms of, it's also so the reason why I showed you earlier on the map is that it is actually a central regional showcase for international food and art-related, agriculture-related companies. Many of the retailers in other parts of Southeast Asia will come to Singapore to do a retail tour to understand what's on the market, what's available. They go see the F&B, go and see the restaurants to understand what is the incoming trend as well. So if you can, let's go to the next slide. So some trends about Singapore itself. Population-wise, we are about 7 million people. About 4 million are citizens, 3 million are actually workers and expatriates coming in here. So it's also a regional headquarters for many companies in the world. They will form either their Asia headquarters or their Southeast Asian headquarters in Singapore. So one thing about Singapore consumers is that they have a rising income education levels. So more and more people are actually getting a degree, getting to tertiary educated as well. Singaporeans are very well traveled. We are within 4 hours, right? We can reach, I think, easily about 20 over countries to do travel to. And there's really travel is one of the things that Singaporean likes to do. So, and because of that itself, right, in terms of appreciation for different food, taste is very high. And because such a high income country, the consumer has a lot of preference for high quality food products. Nowadays, the main trend is actually, besides because of the pandemic itself, people are eating healthier. They're looking for more natural, organic food, and also cleaner labels where it's just very few ingredients are shown. So on top of that itself, because it's also a very busy country of people who are mostly working office occupations. So many people don't have time to cook or to really spend time in the kitchen. So demand for convenience food, ready to eat, ready to cook, prepared meals is very high as well. And then the other thing, of course, that we are also a fast-aging population, a fast-aging nation. So as such, demand for food as for mature age groups is very high. So people are looking for high quality, natural, organic, good for me kind of products that's healthier. So these are some of the things you keep in mind. But one other thing is the Singaporeans like to snack as well. So snacks, confectionery, cookies, all these are very, very well received in this market. Give me the next slide. Just a quick overview of the market sector itself. So food service sector is a very developed food service sector. There's actually a number of Michelin stars as outlets, whether it's on the on the fine dining or even at the what we call street food level itself. There's actually a whole series of it. So Singapore is also a meeting and incentive center for Southeast Asia, a regional tourist hub too. So in 2022, right, just after the whole pandemic itself, they hosted a total of 6.3 million visitors, almost the same as the population of Singapore, with 11 billion of spending. This is actually forecasted for to reach about 16 billion altogether. So in terms of the retail sector, it's very highly developed and very competitive. So sales was about 11 billion for 2023. So there's really only three large players in the entire market itself. So you have FairPrice, who is the leader. They're actually a government cooperative. So they have about 150 stores, ranging from supermarkets, small express shops, all the way to hypermarket itself. And you have the other one is Dairy Farm International. They have the two banners, Cold Storage and Giant. All together, they have about maybe about 80 stores throughout. And then one more is the Sheng Siong, the third players, which is more a mid-tier, mid-market. So they have about 40 stores altogether. So all in all, you have roughly about 300 stores, supermarket stores, modern retail. In Singapore, right, about 80% to maybe I dare say 90% purchasing are done in modern retailers. So it's all supermarkets, hypermarkets, they're buying through it. There is a small percentage of traditional market where, interestingly, right, for for Singapore, the traditional market actually has very premium food. So you want the best fruits, the best imported fruits, the best variety of grapes from California. Really, you go to a traditional market, you can actually get very specialized fruit stores that will sell very high quality products at very high prices. So the next one is food processing sector. So Singapore is relatively small in terms of food processing. We output about 8 billion. A lot of it is consumed within Singapore, very high price items. So almost all ingredients are imported. So yeah, so that's where we are. If you can have a mix like this. So what are some of the best products prospects for US companies, for US products? So to echo what we say about population, right? So pre-packaged and convenience food is very popular. So things are ready to eat, whether it's frozen, whether it's in vacuum, high pressure vacuum pack kind of thing. It's very popular here. So in terms of fresh vegetables, fruits itself imported, these are very highly desired too. So snack bars, organic food, organic products itself. And when I say organic, it ranges things that are certified organics are the ones that they are really looking for. And organic products coming in from more developed markets, for example, the US. The other market will be like Europe and from even like Japan or this, right, are very highly regarded here. Again, we are, you know, people are also looking towards low sugar, low fat products. So things that have all these labels, right, will be very welcome, very looked forward to by the consumers. So the other thing is that in terms of paying for higher price items, Singaporeans are willing to do so. So gourmet premium, specialty products itself, these are some of the things that they will look for. They're willing to pay for. I think one of the key things that Singaporean wants to see what is the story behind the product itself. So if you say you are from a farm, you show a story behind the farm, a family farm producing very good quality products for generations. These are some of the stories that will resonate with Singaporean consumers. So if you do have the marketing, you do have the ability to tell the story, right? Do say so because this would be able to, be attractive to the consumer. Then the other, of course, that we basically import all our meats, or seafood. So one thing is that I think traditionally Singapore depended a lot on Southeast Asian our neighbors to import in products itself. But during the pandemic, there were some shortages and things like that. And the government wisely realized that we cannot just look forward to what we have in the neighborhood itself. And they have actually opened up. So one of the things was that there was two stories. One was that during the pandemic, we had a shortage of eggs. So traditionally, we buy our eggs just from Malaysia, Thailand, that's about it. But because of the whole shortage itself, the government actually encouraged people like FairPrice, other importers to bring in. So today, our last check, we have sources of eggs from 11 countries all over the world. The furthest we have our eggs from whole eggs, fresh eggs from Poland. They're actually air flown to Singapore. So to figure that out, the eggs flew before you hatch. So so then the other thing was that recently there was a ban of live chicken, fresh chicken from Malaysia. It was very interesting. There was a lot of you know, a lot of reasons for it, but the main thing was that 50% of chickens that Singaporean consume are fresh, and it comes from Malaysia. So there was a ban. So now Singapore is getting chicken all the way from Thailand, Brazil even, to bring in there. So really, we are casting our net wide to get different products for different parts of the world. And then last but not least, pet food. So pet food for Singapore is fairly interesting. There's no rules about pet food in the sense that it's not human food. So it's a very open market. is literally little to no barrier to entry. And Singapore is also a place where we are not having more children. So in fact, we're having more fur kids. So cats, dogs, these are one of the biggest growing sector. And people treat their pets as if they are children. So as such, they would buy the best ingredient, best food. So things like bulk product may not do very well for pet, but things like, for example, treats, natural treats. These are all that are very, that are also functional pet food itself, for better kidneys, for longevity. These are products that are, that are what pet owners are looking for today. If I can have next slide, please. Oh, good. That was fast. FAQ. So I thought I set into one of the earlier chat. Cindy, can I go into this FAQ or is it okay?
Yeah, you can answer those and then we'll finish and then we can open up for additional questions later.
Okay, so shall I carry on this part here?
Sure.
Okay, so one of the three questions that I've seen that's been asked was that, labels, do you need to do relabels for Singapore itself? The answer is no. English labels are fine. You frequently see them, but only thing is probably your importers have to put a sticker to say who is importing the product into this market. So basically, you want to find a responsible party for any products that's been put on shelves here. Sample shipments is very easy to ship samples into the market here itself. So there's very little, there are very few items that are prohibited. So mainly the whole regime for Singapore is that we follow respect, the FDA's, the USDA, FDA's kind of rules. We follow the codex. So these are the ones that we follow. The main thing here is food safety. So long as it doesn't pose any safety issues, right, it can be imported. There is no need for things like certificate of free sale or things like that for the market here. And it's very easy for your import partners to bring in any samples to see. I think the last part was that, if you do participate in this mission itself, right, at the end of it, we will provide you with importers profiles so that you actually know who are meeting and who are the potential importers for you to work with. Cool. I am done.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
So if you're interested in participating in this mission, it is a focus trade mission. So once you sign up, the end market rep Thomas will look for buyers specifically looking to buy your product. That's the focus trade mission focus on this. The early bird deadline is May 27th, and for all trade missions, they're always $4.25 for the early bird, and then standard registration is July 10th for $6.25. The services that Thomas would help with during this event would be one-on-one meetings with the qualified buyers, a pre-custom product research including market overview, and just importation and distribution analysis for your products, a market briefing by the USDA Foreign Ag Service when you're in the country. While the tour will start off, we'll do a retail tour the first day, and inclusion in trade mission brochures there. And of course, on-site assistance with Thomas during the event. This is the list of liaisons that you can contact with any additional questions throughout, going forward for this mission. And we hope to have you join on this mission. Does anyone have any questions? One question, Thomas, is do you have any suggestions or things to be aware of prior to going on a trip in Singapore? Are there any business culture things that people should be aware of ahead of the mission?
Sure. So one of the things that Singapore does is pretty westernized. So many of the importers, right, they speak fairly okay English, good English. So there's no need to worry about that. Singaporeans are fairly, business people are fairly straightforward. So one thing is to be aware is that typically, right, because such a small market in terms of, you have 7 million population people. A lot of time, in fact, not even Singapore, I think for Southeast Asia, a lot of time they'll be asking for smaller quantity, smaller amount of items itself. So do bear in mind that in terms of the initial order could be small. The other thing is that if you do have multiple SKUs of product itself, right, do bring those, don't bring the ginormous 50-pound bag of, dog food or cookies or whatever you want to do it. Do bring smaller, offer smaller sizes, because the dwellings, right, are pretty small here in Singapore. So as such, right, many people do multiple purchases. They don't go to the supermarket or hypermarket once a month. Think of it as to go in there every week, if not every 3 days to stock up on their products. So really the supermarket is their larder rather than they try to stock everything at home, because there isn't space for it. So the other thing is just that when you come here, just fairly casual in terms of the business dressing and all that. So it's just shirt, pants. I think that's all you need. Singapore is hot, so leave your winter jacket at home.
Yeah. Is there a market for any halal or kosher products?
Okay, good question. So Singapore is not okay, Singapore has about probably 15% Muslim population. So predominantly about 70% to 75% of Singapore are non-Muslim. Or maybe, sorry, 80% are non-Muslim. So you're talking about, there's a three major ethnic group here. So Chinese is about 80%, 75 to 80%. Then you have Indian about 5%. Then the remainder, about 15%, is actually Malay Muslims. So typically the same ethnically, right, the same Malays as in Malaysia, and somewhat maybe Indonesia as well. So your product don't have to be halal. So there is supermarket do list up halal product and non-halal product. So there's no big rules against it. You can import it in. The halal certification body here, right, which MUIS, they do actually work with the halal certifying bodies in the US. But one thing is that many of you remember I said earlier on, there are regional buyers that come to Singapore to do a retail tour to just find out what's available on the market. So that's a good place to showcase your product. And if you want to use Singapore as a springboard to the region itself, right? And I mean the larger region like Malaysia with 30 million population, or Indonesia, right, with 200 million people, it's a good place to actually get your halal products ready. So these two markets, when you want to go in, has to be halal. There is one caveat here. If your product is going to go into a food service operator, say for example for a hotel, things like that, right? For the region, Singapore is optional, but once you go outside of Singapore, right, Malaysia, Indonesia, you have to be halal certified, because the entire kitchen is halal, so it has to be, ready. And I think we have good resource in terms of which certifying bodies to work with. There's a Venn diagram going on where, if you work with one of these or one or two of these halal certifying body in the US, your product will be certified across two or three markets here. So it's always changing, but you can check around. There's information on it as well. Yeah.
Okay. Does anyone else have any other questions? One more. Does the
Can I
U.S. have
offer one
any
quarterly?
trade, free trade agreement with Singapore?
Yes, Singapore has a free trade agreement with the US. So yeah, I mean Singapore is almost no tax for products coming into Singapore. So there's no duties for product coming in. Only duty we have is for alcohol. Can't remember what's the amount. It was $8. I think $8 per liter or something like that. So it's not very high. It's high, but it's not it's very clear. So you just pay the amount you come in. The other one is for tobacco product itself. Tobacco product is highly regulated. And maybe just an extension from this, right? No CBT kind of product, cannabis products are allowed here. This is very serious. It's a class 1 drug, so possession of it, right, possession of it is jail terms, and trading of it, drugs is capital punishment. So nothing, no CBD pet food, no CBD cream for and nothing, and not even for your own personal use. Do not bring it in. In fact, when you take the plane coming in here, they'll tell you to dispose of it. Yeah.
Does anyone else have any additional questions? If we don't have any in the queue right
Amy.
now.
Yes, Cindy and Thomas. Hi.
Hi, Amy.
Thomas. Hi there. Yeah, Thomas, you mentioned the small quantities in packaging, but is that also true in what a group would want to import of a product? So would you comment on maybe consolidators or consolidation shipments as an option for a small volume exporter to share costs?
Yes, definitely. I think if you do okay, so there's two parts to it. One is that in terms of for initial orders, so they can actually, if you can go through many of the importers have a consolidator that they work with in the US. So it's not unheard of. You can actually pick it up from your ex-works, and then they bring it to the location, and then pack everything and then consolidate and ship it to Singapore. That's possible. They're also looking for, if you have multiple items, do with them, so they can actually have a full container load to bring it in here, so they can do multiple things. The other thing I thought about small quantities, it's not so much when the initial order can be a small quantity, but the other thing is that it's a small quantity in terms of a small SKUs for the consumer to buy. So if you have multiple SKU, do present all the SKU you have available, so that they don't go in there thinking that it's an American size product. So people here do consume smaller amount, they store smaller amount at home. Yeah. So yeah.
Thank you.
Hope that answers.
Any other questions? I think that's all. Well, thank you, Thomas, and we'll hope for a lot of people to see you in Singapore in the fall.
Thank you so much. We have a whole team here, Silkit, Sam, Sharifa. We hope to welcome you here.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.